House party. Is it any good? How many butter pumps will it get? Let's find out.
My baby likes butter.
Hello, my butter babies. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into House Party, a movie that unfortunately should have never made it to theaters. It's just that bad. And, you know, it wasn't even supposed to make it into theaters. It was originally supposed to be an HBO Max movie that was supposed to come out last summer, but with Zaslav running crazy through the halls of HBO Max and shelving everything that he didn't think was going to make him a buck this past year, House Party was initially shelved. But I am assuming, and again, this is just me assuming, but I am assuming because he caught so much flack for basically decapitating the first Latina Batgirl, he quickly changed course and decided to give House Party a 17-day theatrical release, which he did this weekend in about 1,400 theaters. And unfortunately, it's not doing very well. It's currently sitting at 6th place for the weekend. By the end of the long MLK weekend, it is estimated that House Party will only bring in around $4.5 million. Now, the spin Warner's is trying to put on all of this is that they're trying to raise the film's profile before heading to HBO Max, but, you know, with very little promotion on the Warner Brothers Discovery side and a very, very paltry 4.5 million take at the box office, it's kind of hard to believe that's what the folks over at Warner's and Zaslav really wanted. Actually, Zaslav probably just wanted to, again, shelve the whole thing and do a tax write-off on it. But again, decapitating Batgirl. So what exactly is wrong with this movie? All right, let's get into it. First of all, it's important to note when you're doing a remake, that's a remix and a remake mashed together. When you're doing a remake of a classic and beloved movie, it's really, really important to not alienate the people who watched the original movies. You want enough nods to the original as well as enough of a through line between the original and the remake to make those of us who saw the originals happy. Well, there is absolutely nothing that connects the original trilogy to this movie. The only through line between all the movies is a house party does take place. Other than that, there's really nothing. And that's a real shame because there's enough material in House Party canon, if I can use that word, to make a proper remake and make it fresh and interesting for the younger audience, at the same time not pissing off the people who made the original movies hits. So, if you're not going to do the House Party canon at all, you gotta come up with a compelling storyline. This movie doesn't bring that at all. So what's the plot? What's the plot? What's the plot? The plot is two friends who are down on their luck and need to bring in some quick money for various reasons. One person needs to increase his profile as a party promoter, and the other one really needs to get his daughter into private preschool. Those two people who are friends with each other decide to throw a house party. They just got fired from their jobs as house cleaners to the rich and famous in Hollywood, but their last job before getting fired finds them cleaning LeBron James's house. LeBron executive produced this movie, by the way, and he shows up later. Turns out he is gone to do a 2-week meditation retreat in India. So the two friends decide to throw a mansion party at LeBron's house, invite all of his celebrity friends to come, and then charge an exorbitant admission basically at the door so they can make that quick money. So they turn in the fake keys. They turn in the fake keys to the office before getting the boot, and then the house party shenanigans begin. That is essentially the entire plot of the movie. The problem is the screenwriters didn't make it compelling enough. There wasn't enough character development or story development in the movie to make me care. It's in the third act of this movie where things suddenly take a bizarre turn. There are plot points and rabbit holes this movie goes down multiple times that just don't make sense at all. There are so many bizarre moments and things that literally make no sense at all. It removes the entire movie from any semblance of reality. The third act climaxes with a silly, never in a million years would this ever happen, one-on-one basketball game between the irresponsible lead, and LeBron James himself. It's as if the writers took a really strong and long hit on that bong and said, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just write whatever and see what happens. So once the party ends with the cops being called and everyone being kicked out of LeBron's house, all the points conveniently get dropped as well, the plot points. And within 3 minutes, everything gets wrapped up in a really quick montage. 4 months later, where are they now? Voiceover, and then the movie ends. So, what did I like about this movie? Well, strangely enough, I really enjoyed most of the supporting characters, except for the completely out-of-touch white next-door neighbor with the pet koala. Again, the out-of-touch white next-door neighbor is a storyline I am so done and through with. There's nothing fresh or new about having a completely clueless and out-of-touch white neighbor. So outside of that, the rest of the supporting cast actually does most of the heavy lifting when it comes to comedy in this movie. They are the reasons why this movie can even be called a comedy at all. The very few times I found myself chuckling or even laughing out loud had everything to do with the supporting cast and not the leads. Karen Oblong, who played the role of Venus, should, if the universe is kind, become a star. She is so interesting to watch. Alan Maldonado, Melvin Gregg, and Rotimi, who all stand in for Full Force, were really great in their roles. I wish they didn't try to mimic Full Force as much as they did. For those of you who don't know Full Force, they were only in the first 2 house parties, and they provided the antagonist theme for both movies. So I really wish that these 3 characters, Alan Maldonado, Melvin Gregg, and Rotimi, didn't mimic Full Force so much. They were hilarious in the roles. They were absolutely hilarious, especially Melvin Gregg. He was hysterical. The other part of the movie I truly enjoyed were all the celebrity cameos in the movie. Kid Cudi, who actually has more than a cameo, he actually has an extended presence in the movie, plays the cuddiest version of Cudi he could ever Cudi. It was so good, and he was such a standout. You know, he's been acting now a lot lately, and he's just really come into his own as far as acting goes. And, you know, he basically played himself only times a billion, and it was chef's kiss. In fact, in that really, really bizarre third act that I mentioned, where everything goes off the rails and nothing makes sense and it's just bizarre and weird, Kid Cudi is literally the only thing in that third act that makes any kind of sense, because he's been playing the cuddiest version of Kid Cudi that ever cudied in the entire universe. So again, I thought he was great, and I hope to see him in more roles because, like I said, he's really coming into his own. So who else? What other celebrities showed up? Well, we had Lena Waithe, Tinashe, Maya, Snoop Dogg, Juvenile, Lil Wayne, Big Sean, Hit Boy, who else? So outside of the world of music, in the world of sports, we had Anthony Davis, LeBron James, of course, Mark Cuban, Tristan Thomas, and Odell Beckham Jr. showed up. It really was a game of spot the celebrity as the movie progressed, because there were so many of them that would just pop up for a second or two. That part was really, really great. Finally, in a blink and you'll miss it moment, Kid and Play actually do show up in this movie, and it is the most disappointing cameo appearance of them all. And, you know, maybe it's because I'm biased and, you know, I'm used to, if there's a house party movie, you know, Kid and Play show up and they have a lot to do. You know, they are the leads in the original trilogy, and it was literally blink and you miss it. Kid had all of one line. Play did not say anything at all. And not just that, but they threw them into this third act, which included this Illuminati storyline that came out of nowhere. There's literally an extended Illuminati thread that goes on, and an Illuminati party that the leads have to go to with Kid Cudi, which again, Kid Cudi being at an Illuminati party is the only thing that makes sense, because Kid Cudi is Kid Cudiing. It just did not make sense. They shoehorned that in, and they shoehorned Kid and Play into an Illuminati scene. It's like, why are you at an Illuminati party, and what has the Illuminati got to do with any of this anyway? Why, there's a house party going on, why are we at an Illuminati party? It just did not make sense. I really, really wish they could have used them in a much better way than they did. And again, it's literally blink and you miss it. Kid has one line, Play has nothing. None of the people that were involved in the House Party original trilogy were either available, or none of them were interested, because again, it would have been something that gave a nod to and a wink to those people like myself who made the first trilogy such a success. I think more than anything else, what was missing from this movie was joy. The original trilogy weren't just funny movies, they were joyous movies. I smiled from ear to ear watching those movies, and I left the theater happy and uplifted after each one. This one was so cynical and so silly, it left me feeling heavy after it was over. Yes, they do have a dance-off in this movie, which made me grin from ear to ear. It was just as long as the first movies, including the two leads doing the famous Kid and Play dance. And it was the only part of the movie where I felt any sort of lightness seeping in. They tried to make this movie light by making it silly, but the silliness did absolutely nothing to lift the weight of the movie itself. I'm glad they had the dance-off though. So, how many butter pumps am I going to give this movie? 1. That's right. Only one, and that one is for the supporting cast and all the celebrity cameos that were in this movie. What did you think? Have you seen this movie? How many butter pumps would you give it? Oh, and if you've seen the original 3 House Parties, which is your favorite and why? Share all those thoughts down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.